Hey everybody! Today we are tackling vertical angles and how to find missing measures when you've got variables and you have to set up an equation. So I'm not sure if you've watched any of the other videos. This is actually the fourth one that we're putting out on this topic. We did adjacent, complementary, supplementary, and now we're doing vertical, but they all have similar steps. So we're going to follow those steps. Okay. So, vertical angles we know are congruent, and that means that they are equal. And this is actually going to make for a different kind of equation than all those other kinds, but the overall 5 steps are the same. First step is identify the angle pair shown. Okay? The second step is to set up an equation. This is where it's a little bit different. We're just going to make one angle equal to the other angle. We don't have to do part plus part equals whole. We're just going to make one angle equal to the other angle. And then we're going to solve that equation, check our solution, and answer the question. Now, if you are looking at a copy of our notes on paper or online, you will see that we have written that the first step for solving this kind of equation is to simplify. And while I don't disagree with that, I'm going to change it a little bit. And I'm going to say that the first step to solving this kind of equation, if you need to, is move the variables to one side. So let's figure out how we can phrase that. All right. In the end, I decided I didn't have a shorter way to write it, and I just wrote move variable to one side. That does not fit nicely on that line because that's not what we originally thought it was going to say. So do your best, draw an arrow, write it off in some open space, whatever you got to do. But the rest of the steps are going to be the same. So after you do that, we're going to eliminate the constant, which means get rid of that number that's by itself. And then we're going to isolate the variable, which means, of course, we want to get x or whatever the variable is by itself. And again, I've said this in so many videos this quarter, but if you're not sure how to solve this kind of equation, I will try to remember to link another one of our videos in the video description. So check there, and if it's not there, leave a comment telling us to do it. Okay, let's actually look at an example because we've just got one example. All right. So the question says, find the measure of angle QSR. And we have 5 steps here. So the first step is for us to determine what kind of angle pair is being shown. So I have this angle over here, and I have this angle over here, and I know that those are vertical angles. So step 1, done. Step 2 says I need to set up my equation, but this one is different because vertical angles are congruent, and congruent means equal. So I'm going to take the top angle, HSN, which is 3x plus 25, and I'm just going to make it equal to the other angle, QSR, which is 6x minus 5. And then step 3 is to solve. So this is where I was talking about using that word simplify. What we usually do in an equation like this, when we have x's on both sides, is we box the one on the right and we move it, just because we prefer our variables to be on the left. I'm sure some of you do it differently in other classes or other schools, but that's just how we like ours to be. And then that gets rid of the 6x on the right side. All you have left is a negative 5. 3x's minus 6x's is negative 3x's. And then from there, you're going to eliminate the constant, which is the 25, and isolate the variable by getting rid of the negative 3. I'm going to solve this while y'all are paused. Ta-da! And then this is where hopefully I've linked the video, and if I haven't, remind me. So then step 4, which I think is the most important step, is to check our equation. So the way that you check this equation is you type the left side on one line, the right side on the next line, and then you put your answer, which we got x equals 10. We look at these top two lines. They're both equal. They both gave me the same number. So that means, yes, we did this correctly. So I'm just going to write that we checked our work in Desmos. If your teacher has another way that they want you to check, that's awesome. We just do this for speed. Now, the last one, and this is where people get tricked on these sometimes, is the last one says, answer the question. And that seems like it would be the easiest step, right? I got x equals 10. I'm done. But let's go up and read that question again. This question wanted the measure of angle QSR, which is right here. It wanted to know how many degrees that angle is. And that angle is not 10 degrees. That's what x equals. So what you have to do to get your answer is you actually have to go back to Desmos. And we're going to type in the expression for that angle specifically, 6x minus 5. And then we're going to substitute in the solution that we got earlier, x equals 10. And this top line is going to tell us how many degrees that is. So I'm going to write down that whole process over here, since I can't like copy Desmos over into my notes. I'm going to write down what we did in Desmos so that if we need to look back at this later, we can. Okay, I can even make it look like a little mini Desmos. There's my two lines. That's what I got in Desmos. So the measure of angle QSR, which is what the question is really asking for, is not 10, it's 55 degrees. That's why that last step is so, so, so important. Great job, guys. See you next time.